What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show with me, Sean Sheehan, here on Sherdog.com. And it's another UFC Apex event this week that I'm bringing my top 5 bets. But before we get into that, before we get into last week's results, I suppose it'd be remiss of me to start a betting show this week without talking a little bit, I suppose, about the betting scandal that's happened over the last week. We've had a lot of people talking about it, and I don't think anyone is in disagreement on this one, and that this is very, very serious. You know it's serious when the UFC released a statement, I believe, to Aaron Bronstetter. You know it's very serious when Dana White is going on, a very friendly place like TMZ to go out there and say, we're taking this really seriously. We want to help the FBI. We've had 2 meetings with the FBI. If anyone tries to do this, we will try to get you prosecuted and end up in jail and everything like this. So it's really, really massive, and obviously a very serious thing that has allegedly happened. I suppose we still don't know. Obviously, it was the Dulgarian-Delva fight last week, where a lot of heavy bets came in on Dulgarian to lose in round 1, and he did lose in round 1 after coming into the fight as the favourite, even with all the betting action on him. A couple of places I tell you to go. James Lynch did a great podcast over with Gianni, who does the betting in a lot of different places, and he, for the people who mightn't, like myself, might try on a $5 on the weekend or $10 on the weekend, and not serious professional bettors. He, I think, explained a lot of the stuff that that people mightn't understand, and I think he did a great job of it with James on that podcast. So I definitely direct people to go over there to listen to that as well. But I think, like, it's very interesting to see. I know Dana White said, there was reports coming out of like 100 fights, or suspected. Dana White said that was balderdash, for want of a word that won't get us demonetized. And it'll be interesting to see all of that when it comes out, what's true and what isn't true. Now, there's some of the reports, you would love them to be from, an Ariel or a Luke Thomas or someone, very, very trustworthy, and they're not all coming from those sort of sources. But I did see Ariel reporting saying some people had come to him and said they'd been asked to throw fights, basically, and it's very, 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 very serious. And Dana White said that the FBI basically told him that this will be put together with the again, for want of a better term, the James Krause investigation, which is still ongoing. So there's going to be kind of basically a double investigation going here on the betting patterns and, if fights are fixed and all of that. But again, innocent until proven guilty, I suppose, with Bulgarian. Is it one of those things where it's an injury and people find out about the injury and bet against him? Or is it one of those things where, he throws the fight himself and puts the money on it, or someone pays him to throw a fight or something like that? Who knows? Look, on the fight itself, it certainly didn't look good. It certainly looked like a guy, what I thought from, and this might be completely wrong now, but this is my thoughts. And again, as I said, this guy is entitled to his day in court or whatever it might be. It certainly looked like a guy who was acting like he was defending properly, and then quickly was like, oh no, tap. It was like, it must be tough for a guy who's so much better than someone else to actually let that happen. It's like imagine if I went in there with fucking, I don't know who's a really good heavyweight grappler. Let's say one from my country here, Will Fleury, and Will Fleury had to let me tap him. It'd be kind of hard to make that look good, you'd have to almost defend stuff first. Now it's very different. I'm not saying I'm Del Flag or anything like that, but go with me here for a second. So that's my initial thoughts on it anyway. Again, with betting in sports, and because it's become such a massive part of our sport, these kind of things have to be taken very, very seriously, because I always have this ongoing joke, it's not a sport for years, but it is a sport, and for it to be looked at as a proper sport like all other sports, it has to be free of nefarious acts and people who are trying to not make the competition fair. So hopefully the FBI or whoever is looking at it can get to the bottom of all of this, and hopefully this is something we can get we won't see again. Let's put it that way. So there you go. With that as well, please bet responsibly. Don't be if you're looking at any of these picks and thinking like my picks are often wrong, so you're I don't think many people are coming to me looking to become millionaires. Where I think a lot of people are like the fun, 5, 10, 20 quid on a weekend, depending on what your budget is, type of thing. And we try to keep it fun here, but I always try to say in every podcast as well, let's bet responsibly. Don't bet more than, not even that you can afford. Don't bet more than that makes it not fun, that if you lose it. Right, if you can't afford to lose 20 quid, then don't put 20 quid on it, or $20, £20 or euros or whatever it is. Do you know? Like some people, I see my guy Dave Portnoy out there, putting like 100 grand. It doesn't really matter to him if he loses 100 grand, but for some people, if they lose €100 or $100 or £100, it is a lot to them. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. And like, I was listening to Gianni's on that podcast, and he said sometimes it's people like that who get themselves into that, they find themselves in these sort of positions. So let's try to alleviate that. So with that said, let's get into the betting show here. Last week we did a good job. We hit we hit 3 bets, but we really hit 4 bets, because the one that didn't hit was Ante Delia, and of course he did win, but he ended up losing. Should have been a no contest. So either way, look, you can't count that one too bad. The Flier didn't hit Cole by submission. I thought Cole looked very, very good again, but won the decision. But a 3 that did hit Steve Garcia at minus 130. I had a strong feeling for that, and he'd a dominant win there. Norman Demonte minus 163 again. Maybe we got a little bit lucky with that. I did think she won, but it was a close fight. And then Garimbo Wells fight goes decision plus 123. That was a good call by me, I must say, last week. And I think that one was pretty straightforward. So let's get into this week. And I'm going to start with the main event. Watch a good bit of tape, honestly, on this main event. And I've a strong feeling towards Gabriel Bonfim against Randy Brown. Not the best price in the world. I think it was, when I looked at this yesterday, it was minus 170-ish. Now his best price you'll get him is minus 180, so I'm putting it down as minus 180. But I really like this bet. I really liked the way he fights. An orthodox fighter, but very active with that lead hand, very active with whether it's either a jab or a left hook, really good, kind of bouncy on the outside. You saw him against Wonderboy. Some of that fight was on the ground, but not all of it. And, going back watching some of his other fights, like obviously because, watching Wonderboy for Randy Brown probably isn't the best thing to do, but I went back and watched his fight with Chaos Williams, which at times is a good indicator, but his ability to take guys to the ground is really, really, really good. He kind of dips into his takedowns and people come close to him. Like, really good at passing, always looks for subs as well. Like, you look at the record there, 18 wins, 13 subs, only 2 decisions, 3 knockouts thrown into that as well. So I fancy him in a big way there. Like, Randy Brown is a good jabber as well and more active with combos, and I think that's where he will cause Bonfim trouble. But I'm really looking forward to seeing the active lead hand battle. But I think if Brown goes too overboard with combos, which he tends to do at times, I think Bonfim can get in underneath him, take him down, and win that fight. Like he showed, Randy Brown showed good takedown defense against Brian Battle. Went back and watched that fight. But is it going to be good enough against Bonfim? I think it's going to be tough for him, and I think Bonfim might even get the submission. I was looking at the price. Let me just pull it up here again for you in a second of the submission for Bonfim. And it just wasn't enough for me. Best price plus 170, but you're closer probably to plus 150 for that one. Randy Brown, a guy who's good on the ground as well. So I'll just leave it with the straight up bet for Gabriel Bonfim. The second bet of the week is for Ismael Bonfim, but I'm going for him to win via decision. His straight up price is around the same, around minus 128. So I didn't want to give you back to back bets like that. So I went a little bit further into his one. He's fighting Chris Padilla. Went back and watched some of both of them. Like, Ismael Bonfim is very different to his brother. He's way more of like a tight boxing style rather than, you're very much lead hand dominated with his brother. He's a very good counter fighter, throws hard with the right hand. He's very quick. Like, he reminds me of a bantamweight. He's fighting at 155. Not as dynamic as most fighters, but that's a tough thing for some people to deal with. Chris Padilla on the other side of it then is very, very defensive. And he beat Jai Herbert in his last fight. And like, that's a tough guy to beat, Jai Herbert. I have a lot of respect for Jai Herbert. You know, he gave Ilia Topuria probably their toughest round of his UFC career so far, and you know, pretty good leg kicks and jabs and 1-2s as well. Again, a basic enough fighter, not the best fighter in the world to watch, but I think guys who beat Ismael Bonfim are guys who are more dynamic and hit harder. You saw that with Salikhov last time out. Look at Benoit Saint-Denis. That's it, you know, almost an exact definition of him. So I think if you're getting kind of, and I said the word basic, it sounds bad, but you're a basic 1-2 defensive fighter against another one, I think Ismael Bonfim wins that fight all day. I think this fight is a cert to go to a decision. I really, really do. It's minus 112 to go to a decision. Again, I wanted to give you a bit of a better, I was thinking about giving you both of those bets, but I wanted to give you a better price. But here you go. If you want the best bet, minus 112, that fight to go to decision, Padilla and Bonfim. That's my best bet of the week. Bang. If I could put a stamp up on the screen, boom, Sheehan show, best bet of the week. Padilla versus Bonfim to go to a decision. Right, bet number 3 of the week. I'm going for Raoni Barcelos, and I'm going for this best on the price against Ricky Simon. He's plus 150, and he's, again, you know, Barcelos is a guy who can shock people at 38 years of age. He is now, but he beat Peyton Talbot. That was still only this year. That was in January. He beat Cody Garbrandt, who fought well in that fight in June. And now he's coming in here against Ricky Simon, you know, who's won these last 2 as well, but he was on a 3-fight losing streak before that. But we know how well-rounded Barcelos is. He's plenty of knockouts in his career. He's good on the ground, you know, 9-3 in decisions as well. You know, for me, I think I always look at Barcelos and I think, where can someone dominate him? And you know, I look at an opponent and where can an opponent dominate him? And I see, like, Ricky Simon, where does he dominate most people? Like, I think he's very good at taking lads down and being faster than them and, you know, getting to the shots first. But I think against Barcelos, he might have a tough time doing that. Now, look, again, I think this one's probably going to a decision. I could see a split decision, 29-28 either way. But I was actually looking, and the reason I was giving you this as well, I was looking at these prices yesterday. I said I'll hold out for a few more prices to come in. I believe, and let me just check again now here, but this price moved, and it didn't move as much as last week now, but he was plus 130. Actually started out at plus 180 a few weeks ago, but he was plus 130 yesterday, and now he's plus 150. I think that pushed it over the edge for me. So I'm liking Barcelos in that, what I call a 50-50 fight. I might be wrong now, but that's the way I see it. So I'll take the price all day in that one at plus 150. Right, last 2 bets are the same bets, basically. Well, not the same bets, but similar bets. I was going to make them the same, but I went a bit higher on the price for the Flier. So first bet is Salikhov versus Medic fight ends via TKO KO in round 1. It's only minus 120. But when you look at the 2 of these lads and the power they have and the matchup, I think it's you know, it's possibly likely enough to happen. Like, you look at Salikhov's last 4 fights, 3 of them have ended via KO. In the first round, he's 1-2, and last one, you look at Medic, exactly the same. Almost exactly the same. His last 3 in a row all ended in the first round, 1 loss and 2 wins. Both guys, again, hit hard, hit like trucks. Both guys like to get it finished early. Medic's 11 wins, 9 knockouts. Salikhov's 22 wins, 15 knockouts. So I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. I feel like someone's getting knocked out there in the first round. Like, the straight up betting in that one, if I had to go for someone, like, I love Salikhov and I love betting on Salikhov. I'm pretty sure he was one of my only flyers that hit, was it last year or this year? Let me look it up here while I have it in front of me. Sherdog.com, a great place to look it up. It was the spin and wheel kick. It was the end of last year, so it was Song Kanan. And he wheel kicked him. It was a knockout punch. I'm pretty sure I had him against Carlos Leal as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, and he actually he lost to Randy Brown, who's on the top of this card. So I think this one's going to end early, and I think it's going to be a big knockout for one of the 2 guys. That brings me to the Flyer of the week, and I'll be honest, I was looking at the betting on this fight coming in, and I was going to pick the other guy, but then I watched some tape on this Marco Tulio, who's fighting Christian Leroy Duncan, And I said, whoa. And I'm going for him to win via first round knockout at plus 850. I think that is an incredible price. So I've been a big admirer of Christian Leroy for a long time. Came through Cage Warriors, this side of the world. And I remember saying at one time, I think this guy has UFC championship potential. Now, it hasn't gone all his way since he came to the UFC. I think middleweight has improved an awful lot. Middleweight wasn't as good at that time. And I still do think, like, he can go on. He's a neophyte in the sport, still very young in the sport. I think he can go on and be a ranked fighter and go to another level. But I haven't done this in a while, I'll be honest. And I just said it for Christian Duncan, but that was 5 or 6 years ago. I looked at Marco Tulio. I looked at 2 of his fights and go, this guy could be the UFC middleweight champion. That's how good this guy is. I really like him. He hits like an absolute truck. Just so good in all areas. Massive power, but the accuracy of this guy, like his head kick against Sheehan, it didn't knock him out, but he got knocked out a few seconds later. Oh, he's a beast. 14 wins, 10 knockouts. Knocked out Gore and Potieria in the UFC so far. Spinning back kick knockout in Dana White Contender Series, and he fought in LFA before that as well, and got a knockout. It was actually his second fight in the Contender Series. He'd won the one previously, but it was via decision. This guy looks a right beast. I think, I'll be honest, I said last week the main event was going to be a really fun, exciting fight, and it was, even though it was very one-sided. This fight is the one to watch this week. Tulio and Christian Leroy Duncan. I think this is going to be... Someone's getting sparked here, because Duncan has the ability to beat a guy like Tulio, but I just think Tulio, oh my God, I'm so impressed with him. I think he looks absolutely brilliant. So that's it. The 2 Bonfims, Gabriel plus minus 180, straight up. Ismael by decision plus 155, plus 150 for Barcelos, minus 120 for the Salikhov Medic fight to end in the first round, and Tulio to win via knockout in round 1 at plus 850. All right, everyone, I'll leave it there. Please bet responsibly. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.